Okay, so we're back. This is week 3 of MAT 205. Whether you're taking this class online live or just straight online, I thought we should go through some problems that you're going to be dealing with in week 3. So whatever semester it is, when you're taking MAT 205 at Wilmington, probably you're going to encounter some of these concepts. So I'm going to switch over to my new camera. Okay. So week 3, not sure what semester you're in, but right now I'm recording, it's the spring of 2024. Okay, so I think we've all seen the Hunger Games. So this kind of struck me. This week you're working with odds in favor and odds against. So I know we've been working through probability, but we're going to switch into odds. So let's make sure that the odds are ever in your favor. Okay, so very key formulas here. So how to find odds in favor and odds against. So you're going to be asked to do both. So we want to make sure we have these key formulas. Suppose event E has M favorable outcomes, that's the favorable outcomes, and N unfavorable outcomes. If each outcome is equally likely, then we have the following. So you're going to calculate odds in favor by figuring out what is your favorable outcome and what is your unfavorable outcome. So I tried to break it down here. M is the number of favorable outcomes on the thing that you want to happen. N is the number of unfavorable outcomes on the thing you do not want to happen. So maybe screenshot these words that might help as you go along. The total number of outcomes are those two added together, favorable plus unfavorable. So I'm always going to keep circling back to these words right here. Okay, let's do a practice problem. We'll start with this one here. Okay, we've got our formula for odds still showing up. Okay, Courtney is at the grand opening celebration of a supermarket. She spins a wheel, so maybe this wheel here, that has 10 equal-sized slices. When the wheel is spun, the arrow stops on a slice at random. If the arrow happens to stop on a border, the wheel will be spun again. Here's the question. If the arrow stops on a black or white slice, then Courtney wins a gift card. Find the odds against Courtney winning a gift card. Okay, so odds against means we're going to use this formula here. But in each of these formulas, you need to figure out what N and M are. Okay, so M is the number of favorable outcomes or things you want to happen. Well, we know that favorable is Courtney winning a gift card. So favorable means that she is looking to land on a black or a white slice. Okay, so that's considered favorable because then she would win the gift card. So unfavorable would be the gray. Okay, so I'm going to mark this. So every time I see a black or a white, I'm going to call that F for favorable. And the unfavorable is the gray. So I'm going to mark those with U's. And we know we have a total of 10 slices. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let's do the odds against. So odds against Courtney winning the gift card is equal to N over M. Now remember, N is going to be our unfavorable. And M is going to be favorable. Okay, so not favorable or unfavorable is N, and M is favorable. Okay, so the odds against is going to be equal to, we'll say E is equal to, we'll just use that from the formula there. So not favorable is going to be anything that's a gray. So 1, 2, 3, those are unfavorables. So we have 3 of those. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 favorables. So 3 to 7 is going to be our odds against. Now keep in mind a couple things. You can write this as a fraction. You can write it 3:7, the ratio 3:7. You can even write out the words 3:7 or your odds against. And then just keep in mind, we have our favorable plus our unfavorable, which is going to be 7 plus 3 equals 10 total slices. Just kind of want to bring that into your attention here, that these should add to your total slices or whatever it is that you're working with. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, same scenario. If the arrow stops on gray or white, then Courtney wins a gift card. All right, so there was a little typo there. Okay, so Courtney's going to win a gift card if it stops on gray or white. So gray or white. Seems like they're spelling gray with G-R-E-Y. I spelled it with an A-Y. However you want to spell gray, gray or white is going to be favorable. So those are all your grays and your whites. So I'm going to put F's next to my grays and my whites. Okay, so unfavorable, where Courtney doesn't win a gift card, is going to be the black slices. So I'm going to put U's next to those. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's break our formula out. Now we're doing find odds in favor. So we want to use this formula. So E is going to be equal to M over N. Remember, M is favorable and N is unfavorable. And it's just the reverse or just the opposite when you find odds against. See how that flips like that? Okay, so E is equal to, well, figure out how many favorables you have. 7. And then figure out how many unfavorables. Unfavorable would be landing on the black slices is 3. Okay, so again, write this as 7:3 or 7 to 3. And then as I always just double check 7 plus 3, which is my favorable, plus my unfavorable is equal to 10. And I know I have 10 slices in here. So I'm just sort of doing that as a double check. Okay, I'd like you to try this one on your own. So take a read, pause the video, see what you can do, and then come back and meet me. Okay, so if you're back, Shantae is playing a card game and is blindfolded. Shantae will throw a dart at the board of 12 balloons. Must be these right here. Each balloon is labeled S for small, M for medium, L for large, and XL for extra large. The board has 1 small balloon right there, 8 mediums floating around, 2 larges, and 1 extra large. Okay, so Shantae hits one of the balloons at random and wins a stuffed animal of that size. Here's the question they're popping. Find the odds against Shantae winning a large stuffed animal. Okay, so we know odds against is this formula here. So we're going to break that out. Okay, and it's going to be your not favorable. M is your favorable. Okay, so we want to find out what's favorable and what's not favorable. So favorable. What's favorable for Shantae? Well, Shantae wants to win a stuffed animal, and she wants to win a large stuffed animal. So there's 2 larges in there. Those are the favorable ones. So I see 2. Unfavorable would be if Shantae gets those smalls, the mediums, or the extra larges. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So unfavorable is a large stuffed animal, and the rest, so all the rest are unfavorable. Okay, so odds against. So not favorable is 10, right? That's the unfavorable. Favorable is 2. So we have 10 to 2. So you could write it as 10 to 2, like that, or 10 to 2. Sometimes you should try to see if you can reduce. Well, we know 10 over 2 really is 5/1. So it could be, it's a 5-1 against odds against Shantae winning that large stuffed animal. And then make sure to kind of double check yourself. 10 plus 2 equals 12. And we know we have 12 balloons. So we're pretty darn sure we're on the right track here. Hopefully you got 10-2 or 5-1. Okay, here's a fresh one. Give this one a whirl. See what you could do with this. So pause the video and come back. Okay, Shantae's playing another card game and still blindfolded. Shantae's still throwing a dart at the board of 12 balloons. We know that the balloons are all labeled and they tell us how they're broken down. Shantae hits one of the balloons at random and wins a stuffed animal of whatever size. Find the odds in favor of Shantae winning a large stuffed animal. Okay, so we're going to use this formula for odds in favor. We need to find out what's favorable and what is not favorable. So M is going to be those favorable or what you want to happen. This is unfavorable or what you don't want to happen. Well, Shantae wants to win that large stuffed animal. So those are favorable. So it's either got to hit that one or that one, which is 2. Unfavorable, of course, is all the rest, which is 10. Those are the mediums, the smalls, and the extra larges. That's not what Shantae wants. Okay, so we're just going to put this into the formula. So the odds in favor is going to be M, which is favorable, which is 2, over N, which is unfavorable, which is 10. So we're looking at 2 to 10. All right, so this is odds in favor of her winning a large stuffed animal, or you could call it 2 to 10. Okay, so remember, odds against were just the opposite. That was 10 to 2. 10 to 2, that was odds against. Now we're looking at odds in favor, so it's just the opposite. So again, we can also reduce this to 1/5, 1/5, or 1 actually to 5. Okay, and keep in mind you can still add this up. 2 plus 10 equals 12. We know we have 12 balloons, so we're feeling pretty good about this. Okay, next up, converting between probability and odds. Now, this a lot of students have trouble with, so I'm not going to rush this. We're going to take our time. I think sometimes you're tested on this on your test, your first test, you may end up with problems like these. I know also that you may end up with working through conversions between probability and odds on project number 1 in Math 205. So take your time, be patient with yourself. So converting between probability and odds, we know probability is converted or as is shown to us as successful over total. And then we know odds in favor is successful outcomes to unsuccessful outcomes, or odds against is unsuccessful to successful. So Donald's playing a game on his iPhone. Donald will choose an image to see if he gets bonus points. The probability of getting bonus points is, I'm going to see if I can write that out, make that a little clearer. That's 8/19. Find the odds in favor of getting bonus points. Okay, let's break this down. So what do we have? We've got probability they gave us, and they want us to convert it to odds. Exactly what we're told that we have to do here. So let's break down 8/19. 8/19, if it's in probability form, is successful over top of unsuccessful, or excuse me, total outcomes. Total outcomes. Okay, so that's going to help us because when we're looking at odds in favor, we want to convert this to odds in favor. That's equal to successful to unsuccessful. Okay, or we were seeing it before, like successful here over unsuccessful here. We're also seeing odds in favor of as M over N. So they're just writing it out as kind of like a ratio, which is fine. Okay, so we need success here for our odds in favor. Well, we know success is 8. Okay. We know that. Now, what's unsuccessful? Well, we don't see that here. All right, so how do we figure out what that is? Well, we're going to do a little simple math here. We know that there's total outcomes and probability on the bottom and successful on the top. So then if we do the math and figure out what's total outcomes minus success, then we're automatically going to know what was the unsuccessful rate or number. Well, 19 minus 8 is 11. So this is your unsuccess. So that way we can use the 11 here in our formula for odds in favor. We need those unsuccessfuls. So 8 to 11. So you may want to write it out like this. So we could say odds in favor to maybe help make sense of this is equal to successful or favorable, we were calling it, over unsuccessful or unfavorable. Okay, and that's going to be equal to successful is the 8, unsuccessful is that 11. So sometimes we like to see it like that, or like this, or 8 to 11, but that's the odds in favor. So that's how you're going to go from what you have, which is probability. We have a probability, break it down, get the pieces and parts out of it, and then use what you have to convert it to odds. So the probability of getting bonus points for Donald is 8/19, but the odds in favor of getting bonus points is 8 to 11. We're going to try this again. Okay, take a peek at this one. We're still learning to convert between probability and odds. Noelle is a manager at a restaurant, and Noelle has determined that the odds against a customer ordering dessert is 11 to 2. What is the probability of a customer ordering dessert? Okay, they're giving us odds against, so they're giving us this, and they want us to convert to this. So pause the video, break this thing down into what you know, and then put it back together as a probability. Okay, if you're back, I'm going to break down 11 over 2. So 11, since it is odds against, all right, would be unsuccessful. Or we like to say unfavorable. Over 2, which would be successful. Okay, but we want to know the probability the customer is going to order dessert. Well, probability is equal to successful outcomes over total outcomes. Well, if we look and see what we have, by the way, this is favorable. I think we know that. Okay, so probability says, give me the successful outcomes up top. Well, we have 2. Then it says, give me the total outcomes. Well, guess what? We don't have total outcomes here. But we know from our previous work that if you take 11 plus 2, that's going to give you 13 total outcomes. And it's just broken up into unfavorable and favorable. So 13 is going to be our denominator right here for our total outcomes. So the probability is 2 over 13 of a customer ordering dessert. So the odds against was 11 to 2. The probability of getting of having the customer order dessert is going to be 2 over 13. So we're going to do some more practice. Switch to decks of cards. All right. Find the odds in favor of drawing a club. So pause the video, see what you can do with this. I took away the formula, so you're going to need to go dig for that unless you've got it memorized, which you might, and come back and see if you match me. Okay, odds in favor if you're back. I know it's M over N, and this needs to be favorable or, successful over top of unfavorable. or unsuccessful. Okay, so drawing a club, well, let's figure out where the clubs are. These are all of these guys down here. Okay, so that would be success, would be drawing a club. Well, there's 13 of these. So I know it's going to be 13 for successful. And unsuccessful is these other 13, 13, and 13. Well, 13, 13, and 13 is 39. So you can check yourself, 39 plus 13, 9, 10, 11, 12, 3, 4, 5. We know that there's 52 cards in a deck, and it's broken into 4 sets of 13. So the odds in favor of drawing a club is 13 over 39, or 13 to 39, like that, or 13 to 39. Now, this can actually be broken down. 13 goes into 39 3 times. So you could call this 1 over 3. And all I'm doing is dividing by 13 here and dividing by 13 there. So we have 1 over 3, or 1 to 3, or 1 to 3. So hopefully this is helping you think through odds in favor. All right, let's do one more. So give this one a try. So here's a table showing all the 52 cards. Find the odds against drawing a 6. So pause the video and then come back and see how you did. Okay, if you're back, odds against is always n over m. Okay, remember n is the unfavorable, m is the favorable. You know, what you want to happen and what you don't want to happen. Okay, 6. How many 6s are in here? Well, I see these right here. Okay, so we have 4 6s. Okay, so let's see how we can think this through here. So unfavorable is going to be all the rest of these cards, okay? We know there's 52 total minus the 4. So unfavorable would be 48. Favorable would be getting those 6s, which we have 4 of those. If you want to double check yourself, 48 plus 4 should be 52. So you could say 48 to 4 like that, 48 to 4, but they might want us to break this down. So we could maybe divide 48 and 4 by 4. That might help us break this down a little bit. So that's going to give us 12 to 1, or 12 to 1, or 12 to 1, something like that. Okay, so hopefully that's starting to make sense. Hopefully this will help you as you journey through the first part of your homework. In the next video, we are going to be looking at expectation. All right, we'll see you in a bit.